Good afternoon and welcome to KTN News Desk. My name is Edith Kimani.
My name is Boni Tunya and this is the 11th day of June 2013, where the battle between daughter and mother over the Makueni Senate seat is brewing.
Well, another battle which is between members of the civil society and members of the National Assembly has also just begun outside of Parliament. We're talking about Occupy Parliament, the second phase. Details coming your way shortly. Well, let's begin with that story on the MP's pay hike, and members of Parliament's salary fiasco is expected to take a very interesting turn this afternoon as Parliament resumes its sitting ahead of budget presentation expected on Thursday.
Welcome back to the program. This is news as it happens. Let's take a look at what is happening in the world of business, and we'll start with a look at factors to watch in the African markets. Walk with me to the Super Bowl. We'll start with a look at the Egyptian market, where Egypt says Egypt does not want war with Ethiopia, but it will keep all options open. This is the message of President Mohamed Morsi on Monday, turning up the heat on a dispute of a giant dam Addis Ababa is building across the Nile. From Egypt, let's come down south to South Africa, where the rand began the week on a back foot, sliding more than 2% against the dollar early on Monday on lingering fears about labor unrest and a stronger dollar. Stocks rose as a weak rand boosted mining firms and international companies that generate most of their revenues in major foreign currencies. Right, let's come back to the western part of Africa, where Nigeria's richest man, Aliko Dangote, of Dangote Industries, majority owner of Dangote Cement, has sold 1.5% of its stake in Nigeria's biggest listed firm to a sovereign wealth for the fund for just about 45.8 billion naira, if you like, $289.3 million US. Right. Ghana's cocoa patches were slightly above target at 446 tons by the close of the main crop on the 30th, thanks to an improvement in the weather conditions in that part of the world and smuggled Ivorian beans. Elsewhere, cocoa arrivals at ports in top grower Ivory Coast reach around 1,260 tons by June the 9th since the start of the season in October. Now, exporters estimated on Monday up from 1.9 tons of the same period in the previous season of growth. Right, from cocoa, let's talk about gas and natural oil, as Indian state company ONGC withdrew a statement issued on Monday saying it and oil company had signed an agreement to buy a 10% stake in Mozambique gas field from India's Videocon group for just about 2.48 billion US dollars rather. Finally, US oil edged high on Tuesday, supported by a halt in the US rise of the US dollar, partly reversing a fall in the previous session due to demand and concerns after a weak Chinese data. Well, those are the factors to watch in the African markets. Now you know how we're doing and where your money needs to go. Let's come back to Kenya, where African tourism has for long focused on attracting tourists from the Western world for revenue generation. But that trend is fast being refocused to specifically target African to encourage connectivity and relations for the future. Kenya Airways has in the same spirit expanded its flight routes to Livingstone in Zambia to increase access to Africa as a visiting and a destination for tourism and trade.
For a long time, Africa has focused on attracting tourists from the Western world. But this trend is fast changing, with Africa now paying attention and diverting a strategy to focus on the increased number of middle-class Africans that the continent has. And this includes the aviation and tourism stakeholders.
And for the airlines, tourism is the platform being used to penetrate the continent. In a bid to meet its targets of flying to every African capital by 2016, Kenya Airways recently launched a flight from Nairobi to Livingstone, Zambia, to boost the tourism business for both countries.
It's our third city into Zambia, so it shows our expansion around Africa.
One of the challenges we face is ensuring that we get delegates from all over our member states, which runs at 155 member states of the world. And so with Kenya Airways landing into Livingstone, it is a plus on our part.
It is such scenic beauties of the continent like Victoria Falls in Livingstone, Zambia, that airlines like Kenya Airways hope to bring passengers to. While the flight fares remain a challenge, the benefits for flight connectivity are many a number.
Private sector can actually make joint packages. It means tourists can be given better packages extending from Kenya.
As African leaders work out modalities to enable free movement across all African countries, there is hope that tourism could generate more revenue from the African continent itself as compared to the West. Joy Doreen Bira, KTN at the Victoria Falls, Livingstone, Zambia.
Right, you need to add Zambia on your destination list. Elsewhere, the management of Tata Chemicals Magadi is now considering the alternative of using coal for energy after the company reported high fuel consumption was hurting its operations. This Tata Chemicals hopes will cut the high bills of electricity and fuel consumption in industrialists across the country that has dealt the situation of power rationing posing more challenges for their products.